fantasy, caught in a landslide, no escape from reality.
Okay, well, here it is. Here's my review. So before you guys start getting out your pitchforks and your torches and everything, let me explain something to you here. When this community got started, it was about honest talking about good and bad comics. That's just what it is. And we need to make sure that we don't become the kind of people that we dislike in comics. Now, am I saying this is a bad comic book? No. But I'm going to tell you about my issues that I have with it. And I'm going to tell you in a funny manner. And you're going to laugh or you're going to get the hose again. Gosh. So, this is Rags issue number 1. It's by Brian Ball. And he's a really cool guy on Twitter. And he drinks pumpkin spice coffee. And he loves it. He loves it. Well, he had issue 0 come out, you know, and issue 0 was to kind of amp you up and get you excited for the original issue. He's very good at promoting. He does a lot of different promoting. He's got t-shirts. He's got the book that he gave away. The guy knows what he's doing. Now, he also said that he didn't do the art, and I thought for sure that he did because, you know, the art kept coming out really fast. He kept doing all these different pieces of art, blah, 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 coming out on Twitter all the time. And I was like, obviously he's drawing that because it's going way too fast. But it was actually another person that did it. I believe it was this Trent Luther that did it. But anyway, so the art's good. Art's really good. I mean, this person can draw for sure, and he does it all digitally, which is kind of crazy. And he does a lot of other cool things, like they do these things where they'll take the main character Rags and they'll put her in like different outfits and almost like a cosplay, which is pretty fun. He did like a Venom. I think he did Boba Fett and a couple other things. He did a Red Lantern. I think he's going to do a Guyver one pretty soon, which I'm kind of excited about that because I like Guyver. And he sells them on sells posters of them and things like that. So if you go to Rag Zombie Twitter, you'll be able to get some of that stuff. So now let's get into this comic book. This is issue number 1. He's worked really hard on this book. You can tell he's got a lot of little things in this book that you can tell that he's worked hard on. There's a lot of Easter eggs in this book, and he's been pointing that out pretty well. Now, what he kind of does is, if you add him on Patreon, you can get different levels, and if you get certain levels, he will put you in this comic book. So I thought that was kind of cool. You know, I kind of wish that movies and other comic book companies did that. Because if you give somebody $5 or $10, they should put you in a book. I mean, that would be fun. That would get more people to read it. He'd be like, look, go buy this book. Like, friend, sister, cousin, go buy this book because I'm in it. Look, that's me right there. And I just think that's kind of a cool aspect to do. But anyway, so let's get into this book. This is issue number 1. The cover is very very straightforward. The first thing that you notice, of course, is all the zombies in the background. There's no way that you're going to notice all of that cleavage or that camel toe there. There's no way you're going to notice that. And also there's really cool tattoos, and there's this really cool like landscape background there. And then the rag symbol has a unicorn on there, a horn on there. You know, there's no way that you're going to notice the other stuff. And I don't know if you guys know this, but this is Liz Finnegan's face on this Rags concept. It's Liz Finnegan right there. Liz Finnegan on Twitter. That's her face. That's her. I don't know if you know that. That's her face right there, on that person right there. So, moving on. So basically, this is about a terrorist attack in California, and all heck is broke loose because it's unleashed a plague, which has turned people into zombies, and so everybody's running crazy. You know, that's the standard premise for like every zombie movie ever. And so we get into this, and what he's doing is he's kind of letting you see new characters every issue on the cover, on the title page here. But we get right into it. It leaves us where issue 0 was at, basically where she was running for her life, and these guys like pound her in the face. She falls down, and they happen to be all men and also happen to be all a-holes, because for some reason all the men in this book are a-holes. I don't know why, but they are. And that's something else I want to talk about too. How come in an apocalyptic world, movies and books, everybody in them are always a-holes? Have you noticed that? Like, there's no nice people in those books. Nice people can survive too, okay? They don't have to all be a-holes. Which leads me to this next part. So they help her up because they realize they're being jerks, and then they keep making this uncomfortable conversation about the little boy with them not seeing her naked over and over and over. And then she finally makes a thing about, I'm sure a vagina and a pair of tits isn't going to kill this kid. Gosh, effing Hicks. And I was like, okay. So, alrighty then. So she can't find any clothes because they've pretty much taken all the clothes the army did. And I don't want to spoil this, but I do want to tell you the general premises, because I do want you to go buy the book, because that's the reason he did this. And it's not like Marvel, where you can review one book and it may be okay to, you know, not review the next 3 books. Like, this is his book, and I want you to go buy it, and I don't want to like take money away from him. So Rags is all about tattoos, and for some reason she has the full Marines advertisement commercial logo on the side of her forearm there, all the way up the side in full color. So everywhere she goes, when people see that, they have to give her $1. The Marines has to give her $1 every time somebody sees that tattoo. So anyway, so she's got a busted up nose. This boy goes back there to help her. And he's being really nice, but at the same time he's very curious because he's looking at her tattoos. And he's a young guy. He's only 19 years old. He's looking at her tattoos. He's looking at her. He's very curious about all this kind of stuff. And she's very upset because, you know, some things have just happened. She's got a busted nose. She's fully naked. And she does this thing where she weirdly goes from being very shy about being naked and very unshy about being naked. Because at one point she's covering herself, the next point she's walking around fully naked, jumping over bar stools or jumping over bar tops, checking herself out, and then she's back to being shy again. So then she pretty much chews him out and tells him, gives him this big long speech about, I know this is probably the first pair of boobies you've seen outside your sister, blah, blah, blah. I hate your guts. All men suck, blah, 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 blah. And then quickly asks for his jacket. He gives it to her because he's a beta cuck. And then we move on to the next scene where she's talking to another one of the guys in the group, immediately insults him, and then he takes it because she's a female. And so then she does what all females that I've ever dated does, is takes a bunch of pills, makes a mean quip, and walks off. And so she wants to leave. She asks her advice. They tell her about a mall that might have closed. She wants to leave. They tell her that it's not the right time because she brought all the zombies down. She immediately insults them because they brought up that she brought all the zombies there. And I gotta tell you, this book's probably got the most dialogue of any book I've ever read. Like, you get at some point where the whole page is just words, and you're just like, what? I don't want to read that much. So I don't want to spoil it, but they do cut to the scene earlier of her with her, I guess, fiance. They certainly don't act like fiancés, and she's got a ring on the other hand. So I don't know if they are or if they aren't. I'm not sure. But pretty much she was in the military. Some things happened in her past that she's not too happy about. This guy found her, took her in, blah, blah, blah. And now he's holding it over her head because she won't tell him about her past. And then it immediately cuts into the zombie apocalypse, so she is where she is. Some things happen and she's just on a run. So that's going to tie into the next issue where they're going to be talking more about the book. And this was a pretty good beginning of a story to kind of tell you more about the character and everything. the main things that I had a problem with is the ones I stated, and also the fact that there's not a whole lot of zombies in it. I mean, there's just a whole lot of talking and insults being thrown around, and all these evil men in this book, which Regina is probably the worst person I've ever seen either, as well, which goes back to my comment earlier about why is everybody in the apocalypse terrible people. You know what I mean? But she's got a lot of trauma. She's got a lot of things that just happened in her life. She's got a long checkered past of things happening in her life. So you can kind of see why that would kind of make you a mean person, I guess. But that's pretty much all I got to say about the book. Go check it out, see what you think. I don't want to spoil much for you because, you know, I still want you to go get the book, but I did want to do an honest review. I hope I wasn't too mean, but it did, you know, it did have some weird things. Like Regina doesn't really act like Regina. Regina acts like a person that, you know, those movies where they do that thing where the guy swaps bodies with a girl and it's a guy in a girl's body. That's the way she acts. She acts like if I was to be in a hot lady's body, how I would act. You know, it's really kind of strange. And then there's the language. I mean, my gosh. Effing this, effing that, F. So it's not for everybody, but I don't necessarily want to run people away from it, because if this is your thing, that's fine. I mean, go for it. Go for it. But, you know, it's just not really my thing, so I wanted to, you know, tell my points about it without being too mean, but at the same time, I want to give an honest opinion, because that's what this community is about. We're not about being shills. We're not about just going out there and saying, hey man, give me a book, I'll promote it. Yeah, I'll promote it up right now. I'll go down here right now and I'll read it in a dramatic voice, and give me $5 and, you know, I'll promote it. You know, we're not about that. That's the main problem that's going on in Marvel and other comic book companies right now, is all these reporting websites are shills. It doesn't matter the book, they always promote it as good, and nobody ever says anything negative, and that's not what I want to be about. That's not what I've been about. Gator ain't never been about that. Gator don't play, okay? So that's just me. That's my honest opinion. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to you guys later. I got another review coming up of Alternative Comics Go West. I'm going to put the link in the description to go get this comic book so you can judge for yourself. But I'll talk to you guys later. Underground Geek out.